Okay, so how does one get a black belt in judo? I've had this question come up a number of times on my YouTube channel, and I just wanted to address it. The black belt in judo is obtained a number of different ways depending on your country that you live in, region in your country that you live in. But generally, almost across the world, it's very, very similar, and you can almost guarantee in IJF, International Judo Federation, most of the countries in Europe and certainly Canada and the Commonwealth, and mostly the USA as well, follow a similar gokyo. Here's the gokyo that we go by here. So in order to obtain the black belt, first, of course, you have to get your brown belt in judo. And then as soon as you have your brown belt, you register as a brown belt and you start obtaining points. And so here's the throws. As soon as you have your brown belt, start getting your points. The points are obtained through competition. Ippon for 10 points in a competition against a brown or a black belt, for example. That's one way to accumulate points. Also, you accumulate points from, for example, 20 points per year after you get your brown belt as a registered Judo Canada Association member. So you can accumulate points that way. You need 120 points in our region anyway to be able to test for your black belt. So after you get your brown belt, immediately register as a brown belt in your region and start collecting your points and tracking them carefully for your competition points and your points per year as well. Here's the throws that you'll need for your black belt. You need to know for each belt, your yellow belt throws, chokes and arm bars, your orange belt throws, chokes and arm bars, all your green belt throws, chokes and arm locks, blue belt throws, chokes and arm locks, and brown belt throws, chokes and arm locks, the English and the Japanese. And usually what they'll do in a black belt exam is randomly call out a few from each belt just to test your knowledge for all the 67 gokyo throws, chokes, and arm locks. And after you've accomplished your gokyo test, they'll bring you into the room for your kata exam. Now, kata for your first degree of black belt is nege no kata. So here's an example of a nege no kata textbook. You can go through the techniques in the textbook and spend countless hours practicing with your partner to get the forms exactly correct. Lots of good YouTube videos to help your nege no kata practice. And like I said, for first degree black belt, this particular examination summary, you need to perform the 3 sets of nege no kata as tori or as attacker. And then if you want a Japanese Kodokan certificate, you have to perform all 5 sets of nege no kata. And then, of course, 2nd degree, 3rd degree, 4th degree, 5th degree, 6th degree, and on. Of course, there's lots and lots of time involved in between degrees as well. It's not just a matter of doing the gokyo and doing the kata. This, for example, is the exam for the 4th degree black belt, Goshinjutsu. That's many, many years down the road. Just look up kata, K-A-T-A, and you'll see many different nege no kata videos that people have demonstrated, and you can get an idea of what kata looks like. Every brown belt, when going for their black belt exam, must perform nege no kata in front of a panel of judges. And also in front of that panel of judges, most countries in the world will make you perform a call-out throw or choke or arm bar or 2 or 3, or sometimes all 67 from the gokyo. So be prepared, depending on your region. You can talk to your sensei about what your black belt exam will look like in your region. In our region, for example, it's only offered twice a year, in June or in December. We go down to a specific area and the judges are flown in or come in from different regions, so they're unbiased. And that panel of judges, usually 6 to 8 high belt, high-ranking black belts, usually go down and above, that will be marking your test, basically. So they'll call you into the room. Just for your first degree black belt, you'll sometimes have 2 pairs in the room. For usually 2nd or 3rd or 4th degree and up, it's just the 1 pair in the room, so the judges can fully focus on your exam because you're going for a higher degree of black belt. But when you're brown belt and you're testing for your first degree, your shodan, probably there'll be another pair in the room with you doing it simultaneously. They'll call out, for example, ouchigari, please demonstrate ouchigari, and then both pairs will demonstrate ouchigari. Then they'll say, please demonstrate sukui nege, and they'll demonstrate that throw. And then they'll demonstrate a groundwork technique. Please demonstrate hadaki jime, and then you have to do that choke. And then they'll, please ude hishigi jujigatame, and you'll have to perform that arm lock for the judges. So they'll call out a number of different gokyo testing, throws, arm locks, and chokes for you. After that portion of the exam is done, you'll now line up and start your performance for your kata. And like I said, for first degree black belt, you'll be performing the first 3 sets of Nage no kata. If you would like a Kodokan certificate from Japan, you have to perform all 5 sets of the Nage no kata. After you've performed the Nage no kata for the judges, they'll usually bring you over to their judging table, give you some tips and tricks and what you may have needed improvement on, and they'll usually send you out of the room and they'll take in the other pairs, and then at the end of the day, you'll find out if you passed or not. So there's a lot of things that go into each degree of black belt. It's not just time in, and it's also not just how good a competitor you are. Usually if you see a red and white belt, which is 6th degree and up, they're usually very elderly because they've put that time in, and also they've had service to the community for many, 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 many years to obtain that high rank. And of course, in between each degree, there's more points required and there's more time in required. So for example, I just completed my 4th degree black belt exam last year. I had to learn a whole nother set of kata with weapons. It's called Goshinjutsu. It's like ancient judo. And I had to do that kata in front of the judges. And also I had to have, I think it was 320 points obtained through competition and service and being a Judo Canada member. So for all of those things put together, plus the examination, which is a grueling one day, and in another facility where the judges are flown in to come and judge you. So it's a pretty grueling, nerve-wracking experience, but eventually if you pass the kata, you pass the gokyo exam, and you've done all the paperwork, you can obtain your next degree. One interesting thing that's different from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, once we get our next degree, there's no way of telling that we've got our next degree. We just know. We get a certificate in the mail, maybe we put it on our wall at home, but there's no stripes on our black belts. Whereas Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I believe it's time in, certain time in for each degree in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu without a kata exam or any sort of exams. And they get stripes on their belt to show. So in a judo venue, you see a whole bunch of black belts out there. You don't know if they're 1st degree or 5th degree. There's no way of telling. When you get your 6th degree, you can wear a red and white belt, but it's highly ceremonial. Usually you'll find most 6 degrees and ups, they'll be wearing their black belt if they're on the mats, but red and white belt for ceremony purposes. So each degree, it's a lot of time in, it's a lot of points accumulated, and it's kata examinations performed in front of judges. So if you have any questions or comments, especially from brown to black belt, that's usually what most people ask me about, the procedure to obtain the shodan. Just put them in the comments below, and or what's your country do for your black belt exams, and how do you obtain black belt in your country? Most countries in the world kind of follow the same protocol in judo. IJF, International Judo Federation, has a gokyo that's very similar across the world. And so the throws and the throw names are all the same. The chokes and the arm bars are all the same. And that way we all follow the same procedure. But some countries differ on how they hand out the black belts. Also, one interesting thing, after you've finished at the facility where you've done your kata exam, and hopefully you've passed, you won't actually get your black belt given to you until you go back to your home club. And then your home club sensei, the highest ranking sensei in your home club, will present it to you, and then you'll be promoted. And then you can put your posts out on Facebook about it. So any questions, comments, or shares, please let me know, and I'd love to hear your questions. That'd be great. Thanks, guys.